we don't worry about optics, we worry about reality. And the reality is that these funds, as I said, can only be used for humanitarian and other non-sanctionable purposes. And when it comes to holding Iran accountable for its destabilizing activities, I would remind you that we have imposed more than 400 sanctions on Iran since the outset of this administration. In the past few weeks, we have taken a number of actions to ensure deterrence, and the Pentagon has conducted strikes against Iranian-backed militias, and we will continue to hold Iran accountable for its destabilizing behavior in a number of manners.
Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
You don't worry about optics, you worry about reality. Aren't optics reality?
No.
They're not?
We're going to get into a bit of a metaphysical debate, but I would say I'm not going to.
We're to a specific question about this, but what you see is what you get. That's reality, right?
No, I would say what's what you see is what you get. What the optics, in the term I mean, the optics is people taking this and misinterpreting it and saying it's something that it's not, which is what's happened in the past when it come to these waivers. And I'm making very clear that these waivers are something that have dated back to the Trump administration.
What is it? What is it that it is not? What are you saying it isn't?
I will say what it is, and I will let those who tend to talk about these waivers over and over again, they can speak for themselves.
Well, okay. Are you saying that this is an absolute straight-up renewal of what has been done in the past, and there are no changes to it? It doesn't allow the Iranians to convert money from Iraqi dinars into euros?
So I am not going to speak to a new waiver. One has not been issued at this point. I'm speaking. If we get to the point where we can talk about a new waiver, I'll be happy to come in and talk about the specifics, but all of our waivers in the past have made very clear that the funds are held in accounts, not in Iran, and available only for humanitarian and non-sanctionable purposes.
Yeah, but you're saying that should there be a waiver this afternoon, it will be exactly the same?
I'm not going to talk about things that have not happened. I'll be happy to. I won't be here tomorrow. I'll be here Thursday. Be happy to talk about if something has happened by the next time at this podium. I will be happy to talk about it.
All right. And then what about the fungibility argument that you heard a lot with the money from South Korea for the hostages? Why is that argument wrong?
So I will say we have heard this a lot. I've addressed it a lot. So with respect to the Iranian regime, it has always funded destabilizing activities. It has done that first and foremost. It's one of its top priorities. It does that whether its people receive humanitarian benefits or not. To the extent that the Iranian people have greater access to food or medicine as a result of money covered by this waiver, that's food or medicine that otherwise would not have been available to them. And I would say, again, this is a policy that goes back to the previous administration. The previous administration apparently decided that it was worthwhile to have this money spent for the benefit of the Iranian people, with whom we have no quarrel. Our quarrel is with the Iranian regime and its destabilizing activities. And so what we see is an Iranian regime that, whether these waivers are issued or not, whether their people benefit from these monies or not, continues to fund hostile activities. That has not changed. It has not changed going back years.
Well, whether or not they benefit from this money, isn't that the whole point? The whole point is that they're supposed to. But the problem is, and the argument against this, is that the Iranians are going to spend the same amount of money on their people as they did before, but now they've got another 10 billion or so.
So I don't accept that argument. What we believe
inside you know what the Iranians are doing?
What we believe is the Iranian regime is going to spend the same amount of money on destabilizing activities, because it always has, and we will take actions to hold them accountable for those destabilizing activities, as we have from the beginning of this administration. What we have seen is that when these waivers have been issued, that money has been used for the benefit of the Iranian people, period.
Yeah, and then the money that they had inside of Iran that would have been spent on this is then freed up.
You are making an assumption that the Iranian government. Let me finish. You are making an assumption when you say that the Iranian government is choosing the benefit of its people over funding terrorism and funding other destabilizing actions. That's not what we've seen. No, I'm not. I've seen them as a first priority fund destabilizing activities. We think increasing the amount of money that flows for the benefit of the Iranian people is something that's worthwhile. And again, This is not, that money that was paid, that Iraq owes to Iran for electricity that Iran delivered.
Yeah, but you're twisting it 180 degrees. The opposite of what I'm not saying that they're not going to spend any of this money on food and medicine and
that's all this money can be spent on.
Yeah, but that means that they have X amount of dollars more in their own treasury that they can spend on destabilizing activities.
Only if you assume they were going to fund food and medicine and other activities. And I'm saying that's not a necessarily correct assumption. They could make the choice to. No.
You said that they were, and you said also that even if they are spending that money, that they're going to still fund destabilizing activities.
I said their first priority is to fund destabilizing activities.
So then why would you give them money?
Because this money will not
give them money. But why would you do this?
I feel like we're arguing in circles here a little bit.
Well, that's
not for the first time.
No, it's not, and this has gone back for several administrations now. Because I don't understand your argument that you can be so sure that none of this money is going to increase the amount of cash that Iran spends to destabilize the region.
Because Iran does not, what we see is when making its choices for how to spend its money, the Iranian regime does not choose to feed its people first.
Exactly.
They choose to fund destabilizing activities first. They always have. As far as we can tell, they always will. So when looking at this money, we see the benefit to allowing these funds to move, again, to restricted accounts, where they can only benefit the Iranian people.
But all right.
Go ahead, Jim.
Understand how you can't see how you can't see
and
the
I don't,
problem.
I don't understand how you can't, we don't understand each other, I think.
I guess so.
Go ahead, Jen.